Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to my Game Week 8 team selection video. It's a bit late. I'm recording this on Friday evening. All the pressers have concluded. Since the other two guys have already gone with their videos, I figured with the doubts now this week around Saka and Havertz, who were not pictured in training on Thursday evening, I would record this a bit later than those guys, just so that we've got all the news now. Let's dive right into it. Now, game week 7 seems like a long way ago, but let's just go back and look at the score really quick. I got 59 points. It was my best game week rank of the season so far. It gave me about a million arrow to 3.3 million, but still a long way to go. I'm still 34 points off the 1 million. It's a new position for me, not something I've experienced so far. So let's see how it goes. I'll have to do some things a little bit different, or do I stay in my comfort zone and usually make look for slow gains. Let's see over the next week what opportunities present themselves. And always, I want some opinions from you guys in the comments. As you guys have seen in the previous video, we like to interact with all the comments that we receive. So please let me know if you differ from any opinions you see in this video. Right, moving on now. I mean, you really don't need to know the scores. It's just Havertz, Saka, who really came in. Trent came in with 8. And ironically, two of the three of the players I'm looking to sell are the guys who actually got me points last week. So it's a bit ironic. Let's discuss that later. First up, the injury news now. I'll read out some of the stuff for the audio, guys. Now, Arteta's comments first up on Saka. He says it is not a serious injury. He is evolving really well. He has done a few things in the last 2 days. Obviously, he wasn't fit enough to play with the national team in the second game, but yeah, we are hopeful. We have a training session this afternoon. He did some bits yesterday, so let's see if he can make it on time. And also, the usual Twitter detectives have been out. They've seen a boot of Saka's, which is a New Balance shoe. They think it's him. So I think he's very likely to play. It's a tough game also, Bournemouth away. It's not something that Arteta will take lightly. Now, moving on to Havertz, who was withdrawn from international duty. So keep in mind now, Arteta can't say he's absolutely fine. If he was absolutely fine, then why did he not go for German national duty? So he has to play a little bit cloak and dagger over there. On Havertz, he said he had a few issues and we have been dealing with that. He has been absolutely brilliant. He has very good communication with the national team, with the manager. In the end, they understood the situation. We modified everything we could do here and again. If he trains well today, he has a good chance to be fit and available. Arteta on Havertz. Now, Bournemouth are the late game on Saturday, but it is an away game. So if these two guys, we get some sort of news on Saturday morning that they are part of the traveling squad, I'm pretty sure they'll start now. Havertz is pretty much as important as Saka now, I think, to this Arsenal team. So both these guys now, especially in the absence of Odegaard, are vital cogs in that North London machine. So I think they both will play. Now, before we now look at the odds for this week, I think over the international break, it's always a good time to see how the goalposts have shifted in terms of team strengths. Now, this is how the bookies' projections. Now, these are the points that the bookies expected the teams to get in game week 1 and how they differ now. So basically, how they expected the teams to be at the start of the season versus how they are actually now. So what you can see is Man City and Arsenal, the trend, they expect them to get one more point, I guess, than before. So it's about the same. They expected to be the top two teams in the country, but Liverpool have taken a big jump. Plus 5.5 is a lot. So they expected him to be a bit worse under Slot, but they're very impressed with how he's done so far. Plus 5.5 is one of the highest gains over here. Chelsea have also moved up by plus 2 points, not much. So they expected Chelsea to be around 4th, 5th, 6th, and I think this might change now over the next few games, which are against Liverpool, Manchester United, and Arsenal. If Chelsea lose those games, this will probably drop a little bit. Spurs have obviously been leapfrogged by Chelsea. Big drop here for Newcastle, minus 5 points. And this is something similar to what we shared when we started the season. We expected big things from Newcastle because of lack of Europe. That being said, I don't think that effect has kicked in yet. It's only once we get into the December period when the congestion really starts. I think that's when lack of Europe will benefit Newcastle. Early on in the season, fatigue isn't as much of an issue. But we are seeing that with a team like Villa, for example, that Manchester United game, they did struggle a little bit to clear chances because they were still dealing with a hangover from the Bayern game. One of the biggest drops, of course, is Manchester United with minus 6. Bookies expect them to finish outside the European positions. This could change, of course, if a manager is sacked. Big improvements for Brighton and Fulham. And this is what we agree, right? We do think these two teams have been impressive. West Ham have received one of the biggest drops with minus 7, along with Palace and Wolves. I'll talk about Wolves a little later, but first up, let's look at the others. Bournemouth are good. Forest plus 7 are the biggest gainers. They expected Forest to get around 38 points, and now they're expected to be well clear of the relegation race. Now, let's see how they do in these stuff. The next 4 fixtures are all right. They have tough fixtures after that. Brentford are just about where they expected. The biggest drop here is for Palace, minus 9.5. They expected them to be very good, and they haven't been so far. yet to get a win. Now, Wolves, what I was talking about, now look at this. Now, Wolves have got only 1 point so far and they played 7 matches. Now, they estimate Wolves to have 35 points by the end of the season. So, you'd expect now over the next 10 game weeks for Wolves to get at least 15 to 18 points to reach that target, because now they play the easier teams. They play the tougher teams. These are the teams they need to get points from. So, that's why I think lumping onto Wolves for later, for maybe after this week, could be a good strategy because they are expected to pick up some points. And Southampton are another one that have taken a big hit. They expected them to be the best of the promoted teams. Now they're right at the bottom. Something interesting now also over here is now projected FPL points for these players. The changes that have happened now and how the bookies expect the points to go. Haaland and Salah right up there on top. But I also want you to pay attention to the points per pound you see over here. Again, these are amazing images, all from Rob T FPL. I highly recommend you guys follow him. Haaland, Salah on top. Palmer is up there. Saka is up there. And both these guys see the points per million they offer, 9.2. So they are pound for pound the best premium options. You'd expect Foden to offer that at 9.2, but his projections have been cut a lot, I think. Maybe because it's a game time thing. Maybe he hit some form, the number will rise again. But another interesting one, of course, is Bruno Fernandes. Quite popular one within an analytics community. A lot of people still championing him. He is expected to get that output and he hasn't had it yet. So maybe the next run is where it will come, or maybe if it's during a manager change. Bumo is up there in terms of value for million, 9.6. Havertz at 8.1 is interesting as well. Now look at his goals. He's expected to get 12.3 goals. That's about the same as Saka. Saka, obviously, the difference is the assists. Jota is right up there after Salah, significantly ahead of, you see, Diaz and all the other Liverpool guys. Gordon, Solanke. Solanke is actually projected to score more goals than Watkins and more FPL points. In terms of value, though, it says that Havertz offers better value than Solanke. Eze, Diaz and Jackson, again, don't look that great. I want you guys to also look at Rogers over there. 9.7, the most value for money player, as per the bookies projection. So he's somebody that probably goes nowhere. Wood at 8.1 looks like a great pick as well. I'm trying to find DCL. Look how low DCL is. DCL is all the way on the other side. He's similar to like Raul Jimenez. I mean, Raul Jimenez numbers are a bit unfair, to be honest. But like somebody like a Smith Rowe is projected to score more higher in terms of FPL points. But I don't know if I'm going to get rid of DCL yet. I think I'm still going to give him the Southampton and Ipswich games, but something we need to monitor. It says that Wood is a significantly better asset than DCL. So if you're buying a cheap forward today, that's probably where you should look. I'm not seeing any of the Wolves guys on here yet. I'm going to ask Rob where they're fair. I don't see Cunha anywhere on here. Let's move on now. Now, looking at this week in particular, now let's look at game week 8. Man City are naturally projected to be the top scorers against the league's leakiest defense with 2.55 goals and have the best clean sheet odds as well at 42%. Walker was not pictured in training. They had an open training session on Thursday, but he is expected to be fit and available. So we could see Lewis. I think you have Lewis. You obviously start him. The fixture is good. The upside is there. Tottenham also right up there in terms of projected goal score. 2.40 is more than Liverpool this week and significantly ahead of Arsenal at 1.95. Now, one of my dilemmas this week is whether to move Havertz to Solanke or not. And I'll talk about that once we get to that relevant section a bit more. But the projections over here state that Spurs are projected to score more goals. And you think you would kind of agree with that because you would expect a reaction after their loss to Brighton. But what I'm thinking is that West Ham are just going to park the bus. It's going to be a deep block. Bournemouth are a team that come to play. They like to play against the big teams, and Arsenal do have the tools to counter attack. But in general, Arsenal and the road aren't that free scoring. They usually get their 1 goal, 2 goals, and shut up shop. Spurs, this could be a high ceiling match. It's a derby. First goal and game state would really determine that. Liverpool also projected to score very well. 2.2 for those of us with Diaz, something we need to take note. I think Salah is a fantastic pick also. Chelsea is only 1.33, quite low. Now look at some of the other guys on the right side. With the clean sheet odds, Arsenal obviously up there, Forest are third, Tottenham are fourth, Manchester United are fifth. Liverpool are just about the same odds over there. So City and Arsenal are quite clearly the clean sheet bank. We can't even say bankers at 42%. Yeah, 42% is definitely not a banker. The odds for clean sheets are generally quite low this week. Now, before we go to the next section, I wanted to talk to you guys about the Sleeper Champions League pick and pool which they've started. Now, for those of you guys who are familiar with it, the pick 'em is a simple game where you just pick a win, draw, loss for each fixture for that particular match day or match game week. and accordingly you can win prizes. Now we have the one set up for the EPL already, which is a season-long league, in which we give out prizes every month. And we also have prizes for the end of the season, including a PlayStation, etc. You guys probably know about that. It's not the first video you're probably watching, but the Champions League one is interesting because they actually have prizes for every match day. So whatever you pick for those particular Tuesday or Thursday, the prizes are decided right then. And you can see over there, there's 1000 USD plus worth of prizes. The last match day, the prizes were given a PS5, Switch, Apple AirPods. So same rules that Premier League pick'em. Right result with each match to get 1 point. And a tiebreaker, you predict the total goals to be scored across all games of the match day. It's completely 100% free to play. You can download the Sleep. There are 3 QR codes you see on the screen. On the right, the first QR code is to download the Sleeper app. The right is to join a Premier League Pick'em League. And the larger one you see in the middle, that's to join the pool now for the UCL Pick'em. So I highly recommend it. It's got nothing to lose. It only takes a couple of minutes, gives you a bit of engagement, and who knows, you can just win a prize. We've been sending out jerseys to our Premier League Pick'em League guys. We've been sent out, I think, 8 jerseys already over the last 2 months to all different parts of the world. So no reason not to play. Get involved. Now, this is what I want to talk to you guys about now with regard specifically to Trent. It's a big topic for this week. A lot of us to raise cash are looking to sell the only defender who's actually getting us points. As you saw, the Trent got me 8 points this week, but he's had only one attacking return. Something to note. And I'm not really going to go too much into his stats. You watch the other two guys' videos, especially LR's. We talk about how Trent's output is actually better in terms of last season, but just the real FPL returns have not come now. If you look at the fixture difficulty, Liverpool for the first 7 game weeks were way out on top. The only difficult fixture on paper was Manchester United, and we all remember how that turned out. And you have to keep in mind similar for Chelsea as well. Chelsea have had a good run, bar that Man City game. Now this is the run that's to come. Now Liverpool dropped significantly down here. They have the tough games now against Chelsea, Arsenal. Now keep in mind, now I think these are all good games for Liverpool attackers, right? You back them to score against Chelsea, Brighton, Villa, Southampton, and even against Man City. At Anfield, the Emirates one could be a bit tricky, maybe a goal or two max over there. But these fixtures don't look very good for defense, if you ask me. Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Villa, Man City are all capable of scoring. They're not ideal clean sheet fixtures, but again, slot might, we don't know. What's interesting now is that this is Slot's first fixture, even though it's not red on this, it's his first difficult game, you would say. So how he sets up against, say, might set up conservatively, but not as gung-ho. Very different. We don't really know. And there's a lot of information, I think, to be gained from this week in particular. So I'm a bit wary about moving Trent on this week. I might give it at least one more week to see how the setup, how attacking he is. So this is just something I want you guys to take a note of. Also, you now look at Chelsea's fixtures, obviously. Chelsea are way down near the bottom. I think the Liverpool and Newcastle games, I think the Newcastle one is all right. Then it's Manchester United away. Decent game. Arsenal at home, not the best. Then you have Leicester and Villa, which is good in terms of attack now. Another milestone I want you guys to take a note of is now game week 12. Russ mentioned it in his video as well. Now game week 12 is the next big fixture swing and the next window where those of the guys who still have the wild card remaining, they're planning to play it. So this is why I want to highlight to you guys the importance of Palmer and Saka for this run. Now you look at the run over there for Chelsea, Arsenal, Chelsea have Leicester, Villa, Southampton, Tottenham, Brentford, Everton. So sea of blue. Similarly for Arsenal. So at this point, you're definitely going to want at least 4 or 5 guys from this team. And also if you have Semenyo, a lot of us are looking at Semenyo now like, yeah, he's holding up a lot of money. I can just play Rodgers every week. Why don't I downgrade Semenyo to a Dibbling? Good fixtures for Bournemouth over that period. And this is the Christmas period. There's going to be a lot of rotation, lot of congestion. So that is when you're going to need a strong squad. So don't be getting rid of Semenyo just yet. And like I was mentioning, look at Wolves fixtures. Wolves fixtures are fantastic over that period. And we even have Brighton, whose run improves. If Joao Pedro is back, he becomes an option. Something to note. And Everton's run gets a bit more dire, then that's when we'll probably be looking to get off DCL. I wouldn't want Mikalenko to even cover anything. Liverpool's run during that period is interesting as well. Now, Southampton away, Man City, Newcastle away, Everton away, Fulham at home, Tottenham away. Again, not bad fixtures for your attackers, but in terms of clean sheets, maybe you're looking at 2 or 3 over there. It's a bit less, right? Like if you look at you build a game week 12 wildcard squad, and I suggest this is what an exercise all of you guys do. See if you can actually, you would want Trent and see if you can accommodate the players you want from Chelsea, Arsenal, and probably it depends whether you want Haaland or not during that time. If fit, I'd still always want Haaland. So I would want a Haaland, Saka, and Palmer, and then build the rest of the team around that and see if you can accommodate Trent. And if you feel that Trent won't be part of your plans during that period, I think it is okay to sell him That being said, a lot can change today. Now, few game weeks, Haaland could get injured, and then we have all the money in the world. So, the goalposts do shift, but all we can do is plan for what we know. And I think right now, if you're looking to raise money, Trent is sellable. But if you can afford to wait a week for your targets, because for example, the entry point for Palmer, most of us are selling Trent, it is for Palmer money, right? I think the entry point isn't the best this week. I want to see how Chelsea do in these big games. I want to see how Liverpool do. I want to see how Tottenham do because we also have to see what Solanke now did. The last game against Brighton, he had 0 shots. But the games before that, he had 7 big chances in those 2 matches. So it's a mixed bag there. You want to get a bit more proof then, so because the moves next are decisive. So again, going back to Liverpool's schedule, look at the midweek games they have. After Chelsea, they have Leipzig, which is which is away, yeah. Arsenal, and then they have Brighton in the Carabao Cup. They probably rotate for that one. Then they have Brighton again in the Premier League. Then they have Bayern Leverkusen and Villa, both at Anfield. And on the other side of the international break, they have Southampton, Madrid, Manchester City, and Newcastle. These are tough games. You would expect Trent to start most of these because he's not going to really trust Bradley in the games of this magnitude. Probably early sub-offs, which is not a bad thing. Lock in the clean sheet, but performance levels might drop. It's not easy for a team to be at the top level playing all these games. It's a tough run, no denying it. Now let's talk about Luis Diaz. We've spoken about Trent. Look at Diaz now. Now, thing with Diaz is he was benched against Palace, but Slot mentioned after the last game that performance levels were quite low and he should have rotated more. He spoke about how the turnaround was Wednesday evening to the Saturday early kickoff, and I think that was why Diaz was benched. Now, Diaz played for Colombia on Tuesday. He did score. The first game they mentioned he was tired, etc., but he played just fine in the second. So the game being on a Sunday, I think affords him significant recovery time, and it's. I don't think Gakpo is still part of Liverpool's first choice 11. Like if you had a week off and Slot had to pick 11 players, I don't think Gakpo would be starting over Diaz in that situation. So I like giving him this game. Chelsea have a couple of defensive problems. Kukurea and Fofana are both suspended. So what's going to happen is Gusto is going to invert into midfield, which means that side Diaz could get some joy. So again, I'd like to give it one more week to observe that. I'll probably sell Diaz next week, but I don't think the fixture against Chelsea is necessarily a bad one. I think you can expect goals for both teams in that fixture. Looking at numbers over there, we can see over there Palmer, Saka are right on top. This is again why we want them. If you are looking to sell Diaz and you want to go lower, I think obviously a standard option has to be Brennan Johnson because you look at some of the other names on the list here. Madison you could go for, but in that case, I think I would just go for Johnson because he's getting a lot of shots in the box, which is what you want from a midfielder. And the other names are Traore, Bumo, most of us have. Traore, you don't really trust. Semenyo, bad fixtures. McNeil, decent pick, but you worry about today. If I was buying an attacker, I really wouldn't go to Everton after seeing how poor their XG was against Newcastle. Eze, Palace aren't really on it. Jota feels like the boat has passed and we already seen the schedule. I like Bowen, but the Hammers attacking numbers aren't really inspiring. So if you're going down, I think it's only Brennan you look for, and I think Brennan is a good pick. That being said, I would like to still go up rather than down with the Diaz because Palmer is going to be coming into your squad. Might as well just do it now instead of game week 12. That being said, you could go for Foden, you could go for Son. As per the latest press conference update, Son has been fully pictured in training. He's trained fully over the international break. I think he's expected to be fine. With Foden, KDB is not expected to be back for this weekend. He's not trained as per the training session we saw yesterday. So that means Foden should start this week. And I think that keeps him safe for the week after as well. Because if a player is not even fit enough to make the squad this weekend, it's unlikely he's going to be starting the next one. After that, it could be a bit of a lottery. But if Foden bangs in those games, it's his spot to lose then. But the thing is, now with Rodri's absence, I don't think he can afford to play Foden and KDB centrally. So it might be a bit of a minefield. How you go, whether you go there, depends on your style as an FPL manager. And plus, rightly put it on the pod, Foden is sort of like the Palmer was in Game Week 6. We knew he had good fixtures. We knew had the pedigree of the player. But we just thought there were better, more reliable options. And we know how that turned out. So if you're looking to make up ground, I like Foden as somebody I'm looking at as somebody who naturally needs to make up ground. Go back to Trent's numbers just to touch upon them. Yeah, Trent is 2.88 NPXGI, well clear of anybody else. Like look at Porro, he is 1.51, so nearly double the attacking output of Porro. And I think LR mentioned in his video, the XG or the chances that Trent has generated have actually been already higher than the entire amount of last season. That's because of the control style. Trent is getting much more quality chances he's creating for his teammates because of the style that Slot plays versus Klopp's. Now, if you are looking to get rid of Trent, the list of replacements is not inspiring at all. Davis, NPXGI 1.68, lot of chance creation, but you look at that, only one assist to show for it. And the problem is that they'll be conceding 2 or 3 goals every game. Ipswich, now the way the bonus point system works this season, you get -4 BPS for every goal you concede. It's going to be difficult for him to get bonus. Also doesn't have the quality of teammates to finish those chances, right? Collins is a decent one. I like him because Brentford are very reliant on set pieces, but not a very good defense. You'd want him in a rotation, playing in the home games. I don't mind him. Nuri is the one obviously we're all interested in. We look at the returns over there. He's got 4 returns already. I think once eventually the manager will want to switch to a back three, which would mean Nuri wing back. But this is a defense that has conceded 22 goals in 7 matches, right? Remind yourself of that. So you're selling a player from a defense that conceded 2 goals for a defense that conceded 22. It is a massive step down. I mean, you can't expect that output from Nuri. I think we're relying on attacking output almost every week. Every team, I don't think any week you can go into a Bulls fixture and expect, oh yeah, they're going to keep a clean sheet. So I'm a bit wary about selling Trent now because of that reason. With Milenkovic, 3 of the next 4 fixtures are good. They're home fixtures. And you could potentially play him in all 4 of the games. I think the away game is decent. I don't remember who it was right now. But fixtures turn sour soon after that. So as a rotation, and if maybe you're looking to sell him on after that, I think he's probably the standout picks because ultimately you want to buy these guys for clean sheets. Attacking returns are a bonus. Now, let's have a quick look at the watch list now for game week 8 when we'll have some changes. I put Onana in there. United have a great run and he seems to be getting a lot of saves, but I just mainly did it because I wanted a change. If you want to buy a goalkeeper, buy Raya if you can. In defense, Gabriel's up there. Porro has also features now, so has Spurs have a good run. But the thing with Porro, he's somebody I'm looking to buy as well. I think if you buy it, the entry point has to be this week because after this week, they play Palace, Villa, Man City, Ipswich, and then Man City. So the run gets a bit more mixed. This is the entry point if you have to buy Porro this week, but he's just not as attacking. The numbers aren't like last season, primarily because Kulusevski and Madison are both playing as the 10s, which means that Porro has to drop a bit further back. The other guys I spoke about, the cheaper defenders, Milenkovic and Nuri, are the new ones on this list. The midfield list is no changes. I think Palmer, Johnson, Foden, Boomo, McNeil are probably the great picks across the different price brackets. Solanke goes right on top of the forwards now with Spurs run of fixtures, 90 minutes, etc. DCL is still above Wood, and I think that's possibly a bit unfair. I think probably by Wood over DCL now, but those Southampton and Ipswich fixtures are obviously appealing. Cunha for the run after. I like him over Larson, but you're getting a lot more routes to points, more security of minutes. And Havertz, possibly unlucky to be fifth, but I think Arsenal's schedule after this, where they play Liverpool, Newcastle, and Chelsea, is probably why I wouldn't be buying Havertz right now. So this is my team as it stands now. I have 2 free transfers and 0.8 million in the bank. I'm looking for suggestions from you guys, what I think I should do. So I'll read it out. It's Flecken in goal, Trent, Gabriel, and Lewis in defense. In midfield, Saka vice captain, Bumo, Rogers, and Luis Diaz. Haaland captain, Havertz and DCL with Semenyo, Mikolenko, and Greaves on the bench. I'd probably move Greaves to second sub over Mikolenko over there. I think Ipswich have a bit better potential for a clean sheet, but expect both teams to score there anyway. I'll just have a look at you guys, discuss with you guys some of my transfer options now, what I've got in mind. This option is probably something I thought about right at the start of the international break, but I'm a bit put off by it now. Now, this has no wiggle room. I have 0.0 for this. It's Havertz, Diaz, and Trent out for Solanke, Palmer, and Porro. Now, this was Porro of last year. I say absolute no-brainer, but I'm just not there with Porro yet. And now, the thing is now Solanke is expected to rise tonight. That's on Friday. So I'll probably have to do one of these moves, which is fine. Havertz to Solanke is something I'm considering already. And let me talk to you guys a little bit about that. So the thing is that Solanke, I don't know with West Ham how the fixture is going to go. I do think Arsenal and Bournemouth might have more goals, but Bournemouth, the defensive numbers have been good. And at home, they've not been that leaky. Most teams find it difficult to go there. Arsenal are without Odegaard, and Solanke will get chances. I don't think we should read too much into that Brighton game without having 0 shots. People like Solanke is dropping deep. He's not going to drop deep against West Ham. It's a deep. They're going to be sat deeper, as Pras said, than the Mariana Trench. So he's going to get chances at the end of crosses, be looking for those loose balls in the box. So I like Solanke this week. And if you look at it over a larger period, right, of 4 weeks, this week Havertz could outscore Solanke. But you look at the fixtures after for Solanke, you have Ipswich, Villa and Palace. Those fixtures, you'd over the larger block of 4 games, you'd expect Sri Lanka to outscore him. So I'm inclined to do the move this week, save myself point right. I might at the end be at the receiving end of bad end of variance this week, but I think it's a move I have to make because the Spurs attacker for that fixture run is essential. And I don't necessarily want to get Johnson because the midfield spots, if I look at my game week 12 team, right, I want Saka in there. I want Bumo in there. Rogers in there, and then I'm always going to need one mid around that 5.5-ish bracket. So Semenyo is there. So there's no real room at the end for that Johnson slot. It'll have to be at the expense of somebody like a Palmer. So that's kind of putting me off. Like, going like that's making me think I have to go for Solanke. And the thing with Poro now, right? If let's say I go for somebody like an Ait Nuri, I have 1.1 million to spend. Now that's the difference between a Flecken and a Rhea. I do want to get Rhea in with a good run of fixtures, and that's why selling Havertz was always part of the plan to free up the third slot. Or alternatively, what I could do with that money, I could even upgrade a DCL to a Cunha down the line. Use that money to upgrade a Mikalenko, use the money to upgrade a Greaves. So I'm not sure I want to be putting that money into Poro, especially because I'm not buying him this week, which has the best entry point for West Ham. Because after this, again, Palace, Villa, Ipswich, Man City, maybe 1 out of 4 clean sheets in those. And just not as attacking. That's probably what it comes down to. Another one that's really tempting me, and of course, because of my poor rank playing a part, is go for Foden. Now, I have zero point 0.1 wiggle room on this. This would be for 2 free transfers. Havertz to Solanke, Luis Diaz to Foden. Very, very, very tempting. But the thing with Foden is, right, he hasn't really shown much to buy him, but the explosion is coming. The fixtures are so good. You have the fixtures with Wolves, Southampton, then again Brighton, Bournemouth. The goals will come. But City in general have not, like, after Rodri's injury, they just Pep has gone to a bit more control. He's using the control wingers now with Grealish and Bernardo. It might change a little bit. I do think Foden's due for a big haul, but ultimately, if I buy Foden now, that spot will have to become Palmer in a couple of weeks. So can I afford that? I don't have many transfers. If you have something like 3, 4, 5 transfers coming into this week, you could easily do that. But with just 2 free transfers, I don't think it's a luxury that I can afford. So these are going to be my likely moves for this week. Now, I think I am going to do the Havertz to Solanke move. I'm not totally confident about it yet, but I think I will. Because ultimately, I want Solanke for the upcoming fixture run. And this leaves a move for me if in case Poro looks good, etc. It gives me a lot of options still looking at next week, and gives me just in case. We saw the bookies odds earlier. Spurs are actually projected to score more goals than Arsenal. So it could be a goal fest at what's the new stadium called Spurs? I think the new White Hart Lane or the Spurs Stadium rather than at the Vitality. So let me know what you guys think. Havertz or Solanke, I'm 60-40 towards doing it. I know Havertz is potentially a better player in a more functional team, but away from the home, I know Havertz hasn't got points yet, but I'm not reading too much into that. The away games have been Villa, Man City, and Spurs compared to the home games, which have been much easier, right? So he is the focal point of their attack now, especially now that Odegaard is out. Saka is creating for Havertz. He's at the end of everything, which stands true for Solanke as well. Ignore the Brighton game. He had 7 big chances over the 2 matches prior to that. So Solanke is a good pick, 90 minutes every week. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was nice to do this on a Friday evening when we have all the information for the pressers. I think a lot of us needed that. I still will be keeping a close eye on the Saka news. You never know with Arteta. I don't think I'll be doing any moves. If I can, I'm going to try to hold it till Saturday morning. But of course, it depends on Solanke's price movements. Thanks a lot for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm sorry I left the plug at the end. Make sure you guys do that. Thank you.